Well, Foxy Gardens got an emergency grass cutting job a few minutes ago. We were having our dinner. It's 6 o'clock, 6:30 on a nice Wednesday evening, and we were asked by somebody who manages a property to cut the grass. And we asked, well, what do you mean by that? And they said, well, it's just the front of this property that needs cutting. You don't have to whip or snip. You don't have to do gardening. You just cut the grass. Take about 30 minutes. So here we are in front of Medic Pharmacy on Dundas Street in Cambridge. And there's the boulevard. Looks like you haven't cut this grass yet this season. And there's the front. We're not going to go near the garden. That would take a lot of work. You can't tell the garden from the lawn, front lawn, but we'll just cut the grass and try to imagine where the garden starts and the lawn stops. 30 minutes, we'll give them 30 minutes, that's it, for 40 bucks. Now, Dave was just on the phone, my Foxy Garden assistant, and the man said, well, do your best, try to get the whole property. Does that mean this chunk too, which seems to be part of the property? Right to about the post here. And what about this boulevard? The grass is up to my waist. I say we don't bother with this boulevard. We don't bother with that grass there. We just do that chunk over there where Dave and Foxy Garden's lawnmower is struggling to cut. And then we'll call the man after he gives us the money. Then we'll see if he wants us to do more for more money. Over and out. Well, just finishing up here at the Dundas Medic Pharmacy. We've cut the boulevard. We edged it. We blew the grass off the sidewalk. We cut the property in front like we were told to do. We left the garden, didn't touch that, it's all weeds. We left this mess over here, which I think is part of the same property, and all along there it looks like a jungle to me. The man told us, who hired us, that we didn't have to do anything except cut the grass for 40 bucks. We'd only be here 30 minutes and it's been 45 and there's two of us. Of course, when you're finished the job, you come home with all your tools, like the lawnmower, and you clean them. Because you want it to be in great shape, just in case you get another emergency call and you have to whip out tomorrow early and you haven't got the darn thing cleaned and it won't work.
Yeah, you can't leave it like this.
No, you can't leave it. And of course, this is the result of the grass that we did a little while ago that was a foot tall, that had never been cut on the property in this season anyway. And so it makes the lawnmower clogs all up.
Yeah.
So we got to get all that off there, and then once we get it off, then we'll use the hose and we'll give it a good wash. And we did learn though that, notice that right at the front here is the spark plug. It's the connection that makes the motor work. So anytime you're working underneath it, it's a good idea to pull that rubber part off, so the engine can't just mysteriously start and then cut your arms and legs off.
True.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you don't have your oil cap on the top and the gas cap on the top tight, when you turn the lawnmower on its side, it might leak out. We're pretty good at making sure that those caps are tight. And so what they recommend you do when you want to work underneath is you have the spark plug pointing up to the sky. So you prop the front end of your lawnmower up and the back end down, and then you can work under there. And if you need to replace the blade, you use the right wrench and take the bolt off, and then you probably, if you've got files and grinders and stuff, you can sharpen the blade.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, just look it up on the internet. Somebody will show you. It's very simple. And then you put the whole thing back, make sure it's secure. You wouldn't want that thing flying off when you're cutting grass and chopping your body into pieces.
I have a comment about because this is a mulcher, right?
Yeah, it's a mulcher blade too.
So obviously the stuff doesn't shoot out, like trimmings don't go flying.
Right,
like,
there's no place for it to, like other lawnmowers that are not mulching, they have a little side shoot, and as you're cutting grass, it's shooting out.
Right.
The modern day lawnmowers, like this one, even though it looks like it's been through the mill, it mulches, which means it's designed via the blade to cut it up really fine and then leave it on the grass, because the grass clippings are good. It's a good fertilizer for the lawn.
But this thing, ultimately, if once you do too much, it starts to like congest and
well, the reason it usually gets like this is because the lawn was too deep, and of course when it's deep, it's holding on to a lot of water. And it just rained the other day too, so then you end up with a gucking mess.
Because you could almost use this as like, this stuff is like guck. It's like goo, right?
Yeah,
it's very slimy.
It's good. But you know, if we were farmers and we didn't want the boulevard in front of our house to look nice, we would just leave it right where it is.
Yeah.
And it would fertilize the lawn even more.
Right.
You know.
And so this is almost at the point where I can start kind of cleaning it with water. Maybe.
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah, because it's still like hanging on there, but it's in every nook and cranny of this thing, like everywhere.
And the other thing about the blade too is if you just take it out for the first time in the spring and you're going to cut grass, before you do that, take the blade off and sharpen it, or get somebody that knows how to do that, sharpen it. That's the first time. Then after that, if you don't hit any rocks or metal or anything else, and you don't take big chunks out of your blade, then you should be able to, over the course of the 6 months that you're cutting grass, you should be able to just sharpen the blade maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
You should not, as long as you're staying away from rocks and fences and anything that would destroy that metal blade. And the other thing is, if you're not sure whether or not the grass is being cut properly, after you cut it, go and take a piece of the cut grass, one little sliver, and look at it and see if the top of it is nicely chopped off, or is the blade dull and is it fraying the grass blades? Because if it is, then the grass blades will dry out and the lawn won't look as green, and there might be some kind of bacterial infection in your grass, and all that might happen. But I don't know too many people that after they cut the grass take a blade and check the top of the blade to see if it's nice and smooth.
Yeah. You can also comment on the fact that like there's no way to do this without actually getting dirty.
Oh yeah, you'll get really dirty. So that's why we've moved it to instead of doing it over there on the driveway and then having to clean that, we just moved the lawnmower onto the boulevard chunk here, and we clean it up here and wash it here, and then we're done and we don't have to.
Like you could put on gloves, you could put on your work clothes, but ultimately you're going to get some kind of grime on you. Like there's no way to avoid getting sort of dirty, especially like at this point when you're like trying to clean this thing. And if you don't clean it, it's going to get all stuck on there. It's going to be like, it's going to wreck it.
Yeah, and the other thing about this is that some people would go, well, I haven't got time to clean it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it the way it is. It'll be okay. Well, then the whole thing won't work. It won't mulch properly. The blade will be duller, and it just won't do a good enough job. And then why even bother if you're not going to do a good job? And the other thing about this is that if you maintain your tools like the lawnmower and your whippersnippers, your weed eaters, if you keep everything going the way it should go, you should be able to keep them for a long time and save some money. If you have to replace your lawnmower and your weed eater, they're expensive. Just to buy that green cord to go in those whippersnippers is terribly expensive. And the gas that you have to buy for these machines is getting more and more expensive every day.
Because this is a refurbed model too. Like we got this from a guy that refurbished an old model, and I would say I'd give it like, top marks for being a pretty
it starts
pretty
easy,
good. It's easy to start.
Yeah, you just pull the cord and it starts.
The only time it has problems is when you're plowing through like 8 feet of grass.
Well, that's why in our business here, we like to tell our customers that every 2 weeks we're cutting in the grass if you want us to work for you. To save our machines, so we don't have to charge you more money. Because we'll be there longer if it takes longer to cut it. And our machines get broken, then we have to fix them. And so we want to come every 2 weeks. Your property will always look nice, and our machines will last longer.
And some people might say, like at this point, like would you not wash it? But we're gonna wash it, right? Like we're
Yeah,
gonna put
we're gonna
water on
wash
it.
it.
Do you have any comments about like where you shouldn't spray
Yeah,
the
well,
water?
I wouldn't be
or-
spraying. I like to stay away from the top where the motor is and the gasoline and the oil. You never know with these machines. They maybe have holes and cracks and stuff, and you don't want to mix that with water with that. Otherwise, it won't go at all.
Right.
So I just wash the underneath part, and then I flip it back down and kind of rinse the tray and the wheels a little bit, and then I'm done.
Right.
If I'm going to clean the top here, I would use a brush.
Like anything with electricity, you're trying to avoid, right? Like
the spark
and
plug.
things
Stay
like
away
that.
from all that.
But all this like undercarriage
No,
area,
that's okay. You can do whatever.
you can hose it down, and that's what's going to happen right now. I'm going to get the hose and hose it.
Okay, so he's hosing it down, and we're putting it to bed.